it going, guys? This is Nick from Bayareabandstand, and we're here with another Nick Loiacono. For the third installment of Local Legacy, Nick has been in the scene for about a decade now, maybe more, as a musician, artist, recording engineer, pretty much. And apparently, I just found out today, also moonlighting as a videographer, which is cool.
For like a week.
Yeah, hey, there you go. Nick, the first thing I want to ask you, you've been in a handful of bands, and we're going to touch on those in general, both in general in your career as a musician, but also specifically for each band and kind of each chapter and how you grew through that. But usually I start off by asking the interviewee, how'd you get your start in music? Was it a family thing? And also with your preferred... I've inferred that your preferred style of music is kind of the heavier stuff on the metal side.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, so how did you get into music in general, and also what sort of formed your style towards this preferred sort of heavier metal style?
It's a good question. I guess there's no really easy or succinct way I can put it. But my parents bought me a guitar for my 11th birthday. It was just like a Squier Stratocaster. I mean, pretty typical. And then
As one does.
Yep, yeah. I took guitar lessons until I was, I think, probably about 17 or so. But yeah, I think in that first year that I started playing guitar, I listened to a lot of Beatles and stuff like that. And then I kind of got into Led Zeppelin and AC/DC. To this day, Led Zeppelin is still my favorite band. I didn't want to like heavy music. I thought screaming was stupid, and when I was 13, I was my homies were showing me like Trivium and Slipknot, and then maybe even heavier stuff like Behemoth and Nile and Cannibal Corpse. And I was just like, this is stupid. I don't like this kind of music. But I don't know. I guess one day I just kind of swallowed my pride, and I was just like, I actually really like this kind of music. Maybe I'm angry or something, and I don't know it. But I guess there was some magnetic attraction I had to really heavy music, and so that was pretty much that. And it's not like I started playing death metal right away or anything like that. But I think I started off playing in a classic rock cover band. So my roots are firmly in classic rock and stuff like that. Minor pentatonic scales and all that good stuff. I played, like I said, I played in a classic rock cover band. That turned into kind of a emo post-hardcore thing, and I still am into a lot of that music too. And then that kind of slowly got heavier and heavier. And then by the time I was 17, I started a straight metalcore band. And then by the time I was, I think 19 or 20, I started a death metal project, and then a deathcore project and stuff. And then I kind of went back and I started kind of getting back into some kind of alt emo stuff. I filled in for that band Demon Me for a little bit, and I produced the record as well. So I'm still kind of all across the board. I guess I do prefer heavy music, but I don't really have any limitations as long as it isn't country. So
Noted.
Yes.
Very cool. So yeah, it feels like you've kind of branched out a lot, but it feels like often when it comes to your passion projects and your sort of preferred your wheelhouse, people know you for your heavier stuff.
Yes.
But the first band I'm going to ask you about were, at least to the general public knowledge, you got your start as the lead guitarist in Picture Me Broken, and I believe is one of the founding members as well, correct?
Yeah, we started that band at age 12 on the playground of our middle school, and that was we started as a classic rock cover band. We were called Lane 4, which is pretty stupid, but it was fun. It was it was a very good first band experience to actually come together and learn how to kind of play and be in the pocket, with each other and stuff like that. It was rad. That eventually turned into us writing original material, and then we're like, all right, well, we got to rebrand because we're not a cover band anymore. And I think come age 15, we recorded a song called Dearest I'm So Sorry. It didn't blow up immediately, but as of now it has, I think, 1.7 million views on YouTube. And that song did a lot for us.
Yes.
Yeah, I think when I was 17, we won a regional music video award on MTV, and we were aired on MTV, MTV2, and VH1 for a good month. We did a live performance of it. It was they played it it was basically syndicated. It was on. It wasn't just Bay Area. It was national. So it was a pretty crazy few months after that. Trying to remember, I think something else happened. Oh yeah, and then we signed a distribution deal with Megaforce Records, and they had distribution through Sony. So we had international distribution of our album as well, and that so like every Best Buy and Hot Topic you could find our CD and stuff like that. And so that was definitely what catapulted like. I'm trying not to say catapulted in like a conceited means or anything, because I'm not a huge deal, but like at the time, like it was a good little kind of year of like, you know, having like a little bit of national notoriety, which was cool. And like I said, we were in every like Best Buy Hot Topic for a little bit, and it was cool. It was a good experience. And then I think I eventually I left the band, I think when I was 18 to go to college. So
I'm curious as to what was the sort of the natural working environment with Picture Me Broken, because, you know, at a very young, you guys kind of ramped up at a very young age. Was it still kind of very organic and very sort of like casual as like, you know, friends who still started a band, or did like the professionalism and the infrastructure come in like very, very rigid? And also, what, you know, as we know, you left the band a few years later. What was it just a difference in style or creativity, or what ended up with you deciding that you didn't want to be in Picture Me Broken anymore?
Well, I guess to answer the first question, yes, it was very rigid, professional. There's a lot of background people working with us, a lot of different managers we cycled through and stuff like that. So it wasn't like a casual experience, like friends hanging out making music. It was pretty much the antithesis of that. That's also part of the reason why I wasn't interested in it. You know, I wanted to do something fun, you know, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. We got to play with like Linkin Park. We played with like Seos and at the Fillmore. We played with like, you know, Asking Alexandria and like all these like really rad bands. So it was like, so there were definitely fun moments, you know, like I said, but other than the performing aspect, you know, like it was kind of like I said, like we kind of had we had a major label distributing us, so our management was kind of in that vein too. Like it was very major label-esque, like, you know, like we would, we had a lot of people telling us like what to do and how to act and conduct ourselves during interviews and like stuff like that, and which was cool. Like I'm glad I got to have a dose of that for the experience. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, you know, I was about to go to college and stuff, and I was like, well, I can either not go to college and move to LA with this band and keep pursuing that, or I can go to school and just focus on my own projects and my own endeavors. So I chose the latter, you know, and I don't regret it at all.
You've been in just a plethora of bands since Picture Me Broken, and filled in for a lot of bands. There's like, honestly, I have to remember how many there are sometimes, but
me too.
Mainly I wanted to touch on It Starts With Alaska, which I believe was your first major project right after Picture Me Broken,
yes.
Which ended up getting a decent amount of traction. It was when, you know, the post-hardcore movement was pretty much in full swing, and you guys ended up playing a Warped Tour date. What was your time like in It Starts With Alaska, and having moved on from the project, you still keep in touch with those guys, and was it sort of an amicable, you know, parting, or was it sort of, it just run its course, or did some major factor change? Because for a while there, you guys were getting a lot of good attention, and were labels involved. I'd like to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So I guess how I was saying that my previous band had been like the antithesis of like the process of like hanging out with your friends, making music, having a good time. That was what It Starts With Alaska was. It was just literally like I kind of had like most of the control in the band. I instrumentally wrote like pretty much all the music and stuff, and it was 6 guys just having a good time, and honestly, it was probably the most fun I've ever had in a band in my life. We got to do some really cool stuff, played some really crazy shows. Our first show that we ever played was at the Boardwalk in Orangeville, and we sold, I think, like 150 tickets to that show, and it was probably the craziest show I've like ever played in my life. So, yeah, it was fun, dude. It was just a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the project burnt out as quickly as it kind of blew up in the first year. And, you know, it wasn't like, it's not, like everything, like we were all cool and stuff, but it just kind of, at some point it was like, like I was in college, our other guitarist, my best friend Evan Radke, he also went to college, and so it was just kind of, and the other guys lived up north in Fairfield, so it was kind of hard to make a coinciding schedule, so it just kind of like drifted and dissipated. Which is fine, but it was fun.
Okay, very cool. So your first 2 major like projects in terms of bands were both, you know, relatively pretty successful. You know, by, relative standards to the average musician, doing their thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
And you sort of kind of forewent that path for, doing the audio engineer thing, which has clearly worked out for you. What was it that you were sort of gravitated to about audio engineering as opposed to, because you very clearly could have gone the other path and you could have moved to LA with Picture Me Broken, you could have been like this famous band, maybe it starts at Alaska, goes somewhere else if you're not in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering as to what is it about audio engineering that ended up kind of being like your main thing? Like, what is it about it that really gets you?
Honestly, I couldn't really tell you. It's weird to say it like this, because don't get me wrong, I love like producing music and being an audio engineer. It is my dream job, honestly, but I never actually I never planned on doing it. Like, I never wanted to when I was younger or anything. It just kind of fell on my lap, and I'm totally fine with that. It just happened, and I just happened to love doing it. I guess it kind of started with back in the Picture Me Broken / It Starts with Alaska days, around when I was 16. I would start I would start kind of demoing out my own music just on GarageBand, just to just write demos and write music and stuff like that. Yeah, and they were pretty crappy sounding demos, honestly. But one of my buddies heard one of the demos, and he was just like, "Hey, this sounds cool. Will you record some demos for my band?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I never really planned on doing anything like that, but sure." Yeah, that was actually Kevin Burley's band, and so we we did that, and then I had a couple other bands that heard those songs and were like, "Hey, we'll pay you to do our demos," and then from there it just kind of ran its course.